Welcome to Quill Sword Blogcast. Will there be a European Federation? No, not anytime soon. Better question, should there be? Nope, not now. Don't get me wrong, I'm an American and I have a soft spot in my heart for federations. Also a Star Trek fan, so I'm very fond of federations. I just can't see Europe as ready for one. Yet. Europe has way too many things pulling it apart now. There's both an east-west and a north-south divide. There's a massive wealth gap. There are major systems issues because not all parliaments are the same. Heck, none of them are. Geopolitical differences in interests, political divides along ideology, so many competing systems already connecting them to that disentangling is going to be more work than setting up a federal government. Europe is a bit of a basket case at the moment. Just at a glance, that list isn't so bad. There will never be a perfect time, and Europe is going to have to sort all of that out anyway. The quantity of difficulties isn't the issue, it's the quality. A lot of those divisions are fairly deep, even if the Europeans haven't come to that realization quite yet. For all the talk of shared values, Europe's political spectrum is still more of a flat line than a healthy bell curve. Europe is better than it was 40 years ago, but only on the surface. It's tough to put together an international system and systems and alliances when you're walking on very thin eggshells. So let's give Europe some credit here. World War II devastated Europe. Trying to figure out how to live together in something resembling peace without starting yet another war wasn't even slightly easy. They did pretty good, all things considered. Problem is, that process is far from over. A lot of issues were ignored, shouted down, or papered over rather than being sorted out over the years. Those cans can only be kicked so far down the road before they will have to be dealt with. And that has to happen before Europe has any hope of a peaceful, meaningful unification under any system. Least of all a federal one. Concentrating power in a central government is a dangerous thing that has to be very carefully balanced so that no tyrannies develop. No, the U.S. didn't get it perfect. We're doing round 2 of trust busting now for that very reason. Colonies aren't nation states and aren't nearly as prickly when you try to convince them to accede some of their newfound powers. Students of American history will note that the process didn't go well at all. 11 years under the Articles of Confederation wasn't enough. The members of the Continental Congress hid what they were working on all that long, hot, no AC summer. It's amazing the delegates didn't kill each other, and that they weren't shot when they got home with this new Constitution thing. Colonies turned states are about as much fun to control as a whole passel of really PO'd cats. When those cats are nation states, they become even more PO'd tigers. Dear Europe, this will not go well. Good luck, and don't shoot each other. Y'all just think I'm kidding. Federal governments are not for the faint of heart, and convincing full nation states to surrender their sovereignty? Yeah, I'll be on the other side of the planet while y'all try that. Part of the problem I see is Europe is in a political shift. These pendulum swings are normal in American politics, but they are even longer and less evident normally in European politics. That being a flat line thing makes it harder to see the swing. While Europe does have such swings, occasionally significant ones, they don't have big obvious patterns like the U.S. Until now. You could argue that Europe has already become a very loose confederation. There's some truth to that. That gain of unity is my best guess for why we're now seeing a pretty strong shift in European polity. Strong by European standards, but still good sized even by American expectations. There's definitely a rightward conservative movement, and no, I don't just mean Brexit and Orban. France and the Netherlands, the bastions of European leftism, are both having electoral shifts and even massive protests. Turns out that when you ignore large segments of your population as if they don't matter, it will come back to bite. Who'da thunk? That's the biggest obstacle for a European federation. The political left wants it in order to concentrate power. The political right is tired of being run roughshod over. Yes, I am oversimplifying. You want a dissertation, there will be salary negotiations first. But the general problem is that the right side of what passes for the European spectrum is gaining power and scaring the daylights out of the left side. Forget all the hype, they just don't want to lose power, which makes a federation very attractive to the left presently as they try to maintain their hold on power. This will not go well, but it also won't go down in flames. Probably. It really doesn't matter how much of either argument is correct. The rural and the conservative feel oppressed and are fighting back. The urban and the liberal feel insecure and are fighting back. While there will never be a perfect time to create a federation, this is one of the times where the interests, not just conservative and liberal, are too far apart to succeed. I'm not particularly hopeful about the EU's long-term prospects. The EU has way too much power concentrated in way too few institutions. We've more than proven that modernity isn't going to save mankind from his nature, but Europe has decided to do their part and added the EU into the proofs. Will it survive? As is? Almost certainly not. At all? Maybe. Depends on way too many variables to guess at. Yet. Europe has got to come to grips with this whole freedom thing. They're still a bit skittish about the chaotic nature of letting individuals make big decisions. Europe likes security. It's not as addicted as Russia, but it also hasn't learned to drink responsibly yet. We've seen all sorts of repressive measures in Europe over the last 2 decades, all nicely dressed up as in the public good. This is just the binge talking. It's not a quick, easy process. That is what Europe wants desperately. A nice one-size-fits-all solution and not all that messy sorting out of rights and liberties and stuff. Europe tried it in their sad rejection of all things nationalistic. Instead of recognizing the excesses, they jumped to the opposite extreme. If nationalism could be bad, then all nationalism was bad. Trouble is, self-hate is the inevitable result, and you can't build on that. Europe isn't ready yet for the hard discussions, but there are hopeful signs. I firmly believe Europe will come around. I even suspect that it will someday unify. Maybe, and I do mean maybe, by 2050 we'll see a loose confederation of European nations develop, probably very similar to the U.S. Articles of Confederation. A loose confederation will let them try a unified government and kick the tires a bit without the overbearing compulsions we keep seeing from the various EU institutions. That might just give Europe as a whole the confidence to craft a unification government that they can control and feel safe with. But there are a lot of things Europe as a group and the individual nation states have got to sort out first. The 20th century did a lot of damage that they haven't really done a lot to fix yet. Give them time. They can get there. As long as there is where they all want to go.